Almost. Major. Holy fucking shit, this is major!
Welcome to Almost Major, where we discuss the many major studios and films they release. We are still on Artisan, and we are talking about Belly from 1998 today. My name is Kevin Tudor. I'm here with Charlie Nash.
Hello.
And Bryden Doyle.
Hello.
And we have a special guest today. We have Logan Kenny. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very grateful to be invited.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
What you're a film writer. What's some recent stuff that people can check out from you?
Am I supposed to be a film writer? Oh no. I wrote a Drive My Car thing a while back. That's probably the last major thing I did. That's a pretty good piece. Which is on cinematary.com, which is an awesome website. I am going to be writing a piece for Top Gun Maverick on there, which may or may not be released by the time this episode's out. So, maybe.
I think it will.
Because this will drop in 4 days, so.
Okay.
Oh, no, then it won't.
Then no, it won't. Yeah, no. Okay, well, remember, after you've been listening to this episode, like, at a week after, just, like, check cinematary.com, and you'll see a Top Gun Maverick review that's 7,000 words long.
There it is.
And opens with some absurd quote. The thing is that every film piece I ever write always comes back to Tron Legacy, and now I'm writing a fucking piece about a movie directed by the man who made Tron Legacy, so I'm gonna be in my zone. I'm gonna be in my fucking zone.
Hell yeah. I'm excited to see Top Gun Maverick, and then I will read that.
Good movie.
I'm hyped. I'm very hyped. We were watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it had the trailer for that, and my girlfriend leaned over and she goes, I have zero interest in that. I said, I have all of the interest for that.
Break up with her.
I was like, that looks incredible.
I was talking to my girlfriend Jillian about how I was seeing it today, and she was like, I want to come. And I'm like, well, you can't come. You're not in the same country as me right now. So you're going to have to be patient. But no, she's so pumped for Top Gun Maverick. So I'm excited for her to see it. And then for us to watch it together several times through our relationship.
Hell yeah. Top Gun, Tom Cruise flying some planes keeps us all together, honestly.
Oh, he's so cool. He's definitely evil, but fucking that dude. There's no one like Tom Cruise in movies.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, it's true. He's immortal. He's not human.
He will never die, and when he does, he's going to be reunited with Xenu or something, or whatever he believes.
He's gonna be like Prince. Once he dies, like 20 movies he starred in that nobody knew about are gonna release.
Oh yeah, there's still like dozens of albums in the vault from Prince. We're gonna have new Prince albums till we're all dead.
Yeah, it sounds great. Belly from 1998, as I said, it was released November 4th, 1998 in wide release. It opened in 600 theaters. It expanded up to 630 theaters. When it opened, it was at number 9. It had a budget of $3 million. Opening weekend, it made $3.4 million. Domestic gross of $9.6 million. It wasn't released overseas until the following year. Top 5 films that weekend were The Waterboy, The Siege, Pleasantville, Ants, and a re-release of Wizard of Oz.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's a weird top 5.
I know. The number 1 song in the US this week was The First Night by Monica, and number 1 song in Canada this week was On a Day Like Today by Bryan Adams. Our Punisher.
I mean, Canada had respect for Bryan Adams at the time, I guess.
He shouldn't have.
Canadian.
No.
There's going to be much better top 1 songs in the US and Canada for the Punisher pod, let me tell you that. Belly tells the story of Sincere, played by Nas, and Buns, played by DMX, who have built up their kingdom of crime on drug dealing and robbery. But Sincere grows weary of the criminal lifestyle and joins a black Muslim religious group. Buns, on the other hand, sinks deeper into criminality and faces serious prison time. The cops offer him a deal, however: assassinate the head of the Muslim group and he will go free. Written and directed... What?
I just find it funny that that's like the thing that they talk about like happening to Buns when that's like in the last like 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
that's so
kinda
funny that they
weird.
put that in the synopsis. Not that I have a problem with it in the movie. It's just funny that they like condense like basically the entire movie into that.
Yeah,
When
like
you
the
think, like,
climax.
most log lines are the start of the movie. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like if they just made the premise. Oh, it's about Nas moving to Africa. Like
That would be awesome. Him and his girlfriend are gonna move to Africa, but do they know how far away it is? And you're just like, oh shit, I gotta watch this.
and he's like, oh wait, it's the fucking ending. I've been robbed of their moving journey. Like we're supposed to see the packing. Like what's going on here?
Yeah. They definitely just having a voiceover. I was like, did y'all run out of money? What happened?
I love
there?
I love voiceovers when they've ran out of money. It's so cool. Like
Yeah.
there was something like I find Belly's voiceover very satisfying. I really love the voiceover in Apollo 10.5 recently with Jack Black. I think that's really good voiceover.
Did any of you see the animated Lord of the Rings from the 1970s that ends in the middle of the two towers, and they just have a voiceover that's like, and then Frodo climbed the Mount Doom and destroyed the ring, and that's the movie.
I should write a
It's
review
like,
of that,
what?
comparing it to the final episode of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah.
I watched last week because my life is so cool. I watched the Tender Bar, the George Clooney directed.
The Tender Bar.
Yeah, the Tender Bar. And there's like a bit like I'm watching this movie thinking, wow, there's like nothing fucking interesting in this guy's life that's happening except for like the one piece of voiceover is like, yeah, my dad like didn't show up to pick me up because it turns out he put a contract out on my mom and then he had to flee the country. I'm thinking, why is that not like the story of the movie? That's like
Yeah.
more to say anything else in the film.
But the thing is that it took me like 2 months of saying the Tender Bar to realize it was a play on bartender.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, that made me feel so dumb. I felt so stupid. It was like it took me like a month to process that. Like, oh yeah, it's named Top Gun Maverick because he's named Maverick. You dipshit. Like, what was happening in my brain when I saw this title?
When is Top Gun Bob gonna come out? That's what I'm wondering.
I'm fucking Bob fucking rules. I love Bob.
Everybody has cool names, and then there's just Bob.
Dude, Bob, he wears his fucking glasses while flying the plane, which I think is just you couldn't put some contacts in him
No.
for when he's going
Hell
into
no.
like going into basically pivoting towards outer space in a fighter jet. No, he's
they'll
got these
fall
huge
off.
glasses on.
They'll fall off. It'll be
Like,
fine. Belly is written and directed by Hype Williams. This is his only feature film. He signed a 2-year overall deal with New Line in 1999, but nothing ever came of it. His first film with New Line, Mothership, died in the development stages. He was hired to direct Speed Racer in 2000, but left the project the following year. You didn't know about that?
That would have been
What?
so cool.
That would have been so sick.
Yeah, I
Oh
didn't know
my
about that
God.
either.
Yeah.
Who would have played Speed Racer? Ja Rule?
Oh, man. Oh, man, that would have been wild. Yeah, he left the following year. Outside of film, he is one of the greatest music video directors ever, if maybe even the best. Directing such
Yeah.
classic music videos as California Love by Tupac and Dr. Dre, Hoo Ha, Got You All in Check by Busta Rhymes, No Diggity by Blackstreet, If I Rule the World by Nas and Lauryn Hill. And that's just the highlights from 1996 alone. Motherfucker's done a lot. Starring Nas as Sincere, his first film after this movie called Monster in 2018 and Black Nativity in 2013, which I watched. He's in it for like 2 minutes. He's easily one of my favorite rappers, and he is not that good in this movie, but you know what? That's fine. DMX as Buns, also his first film after this, Romeo Must Die in 2000, Exit Wounds in 2001, and Cradle to the Grave in 2003. Yeah. I remember being young and I thought Cradle to the Grave meant it was a sequel. I was like, what?
Everyone did.
Yeah.
Everyone did.
I was like, where's Cradle 1? What happened?
That's the movie that I watched to commemorate DMX's life when he passed away because he's riding like an ATV to Where the Hood At.
Oh,
And that is a
man.
fucking glorious scene. This is a fun movie, actually. Exit Wounds is shit.
What about Romeo
also-
Must Die?
Haven't seen Romeo Must Die. I think I probably like it though.
I
I like
probably would.
I like the cast a lot.
Yeah.
He's also very funny in his one cameo in Top 5.
Top 5,
Yeah,
yeah.
Where he's in jail and
right.
and then he's like saying, "I'm in jail. I live with this motherfucker," or whatever.
Yeah.
Then he starts singing "Smile" like really off key.
My favorite thing about DMX as an actor is that his speaking voice is exactly the same as his rapping voice. That there's no distinction.
Yeah, none.
Every line
None.
he says, it sounds like he's like there's a beat behind them.
Well, it's great in this movie when he's like, it just cuts to him in the shower and he's going like, he's just like basically doing the
When he gets into the argument with his girlfriend near the start of the movie, it sounds like a fucking DMX song, like the way he's like yelling at her. I'm like, you put like a minimalist like late 90s beat behind this and you got it. You got a song. You got a hit record.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had a fucking hell of a 98/99.
He dropped
DMX.
2 albums within 6 months in '98,
And they're
because the hype
both
was so over.
amazing.
Yeah, they're both great, insane.
Oh
Go
my
ahead.
god,
Go ahead.
he's so good.
Yeah.
Ready to meet him from the second album is one of my favorite rap songs of all time. I think that song is like one of the best written songs like of any genre I've ever heard. And also there's a lot of really horrible lyrics on those albums.
Oh yeah. X is coming.
X
has
is
plenty.
coming. Yeah. Oh my god. That's a song. If you haven't heard X is coming,
Maybe
it's a good song, but it's a good song, but it's evil. There's this like DMX to me as a rapper is like if you've ever read anything about DMX's like upbringing, you'll just feel like an overwhelming rush of sadness in your body because like I don't think I've ever seen a rapper with a more painful upbringing than his. And it kind of like you kind of understand why he sounds so angry and disillusioned for so much of his career when that was his childhood. Like,
there was a podcast. There was a podcast I listened to where he was talking about how much he loved dogs, and he made the podcast host cry because he was talking about how much he loves dogs. But he was saying it in his fucking voice, where he's just like, they're just so great. They're always there for you. It's amazing, and yeah, made them cry. Terrell Hicks as Keisha. Prior to this, she was in A Bronx Tale in 1993, prominently known as an R&B singer. Actually, when she calls Buns during one scene, she's actually she's in the living room and a projector's going with a music video. That's actually her music video that Hype Williams also directed. And T-Boz plays Tion. Really her first movie, but she was also in House Party 3 in 1994. After this, 42 episodes of Days of Our Lives, and of course she's one of the 3 members from TLC. So yeah.
Can't forget about Method Man.
Oh yeah, I mean I only did 4, but yeah, I could do Method Man, and AZ shows up for a scene that was pretty great.
And Tyron Turner, who plays the
Weebay.
Tyron Turner, he plays Big, the guy with the glasses, like chewing the banana.
So,
he's the lead in Menace to Society.
Oh yeah,
shit, he is.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
There's this thing about Method Man where he's the opposite of DMX, where his rapping sounds nothing like his speaking voice. Because every time he raps, he sounds like he's had to spit. Like there's just too much saliva in his mouth whenever he raps.
He raps to get it out. Yeah.
Like he sounds like he's about to like drown in his own spit, like that's what his rapping sounds like, and it's what every verse of his in the 90s sounds like in particular. But then like you hear his speaking voice and he sounds so clear and articulate, like he's been like fine tuning his vocals every time he opens his mouth, and it's just like really funny that it's that way around and not the opposite. Like. It's I love Method Man's rapping. This is not a diss.
Oh yeah.
It's also so funny when his voice cracks in this movie. He's like, knowledge, what's the science or whatever. Like it's so funny the little intonation he gives.
God,
it's so good.
There's just not enough cool like contemporary rappers to do like a new Belly. Like who would you get in them? Like you can't get the Baby in there.
They did do a sequel in 2005 and it started The Game. So
the fucking game sucks. Like the game is bad. He coasted for like 15 years off of a pretty good debut album. Like
first 2 are pretty good, but he gets exhausting.
Some of those like I heard like a couple from like 2016, 2017, and they are awful. They are terrible album. So I know more about I may know more about rap music than movies. So
I am right there with you, honestly.
Yeah.
Trivia. I did not know this, but Magic Johnson owned a chain of movie theaters at a point in time, and 2 refused to play this movie in any of his theaters because he said he represented bad portrayals of African Americans.
So, okay.
The scene of Sincere and the 12-year-old boy on the park bench is a direct reference to the last verse of One Love by Nas from the album Illmatic.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that makes total sense now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm. The film DMX puts on in his house is Harmony Korine's Gummo, which is my favorite scene ever.
It's so good.
Me and my friend constantly say, "What do you be watching in the house?" It's pretty great.
Jillian yelled Gummo so loud when we watched it together for preparation. She just kept yelling, Gummo? Gummo?
Yeah. Just thinking about it, Hype Williams making Feel So Good by Mace, the music video, while he's just like, okay, we have to wrap up because they're playing Gummo, and I'm like, I was a real big fan of Kids. I gotta go see it. You know,
he does seem like he'd be a big fan of Kids, actually. That makes total sense.
I can see that. Yeah. Based on a story originally written by Nas, Gwen Stefani initially had a cameo in the film setup, but it never happened. Reports say maybe it's because she was going to be beheaded in the movie.
What?
That would be crazy.
I don't know if her part would have been the woman they kill at the start in the club. It goes through the window. I don't know if that was maybe going to be her or something like that. An acting coach was on set as Nas had trouble with line readings. And yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Look. Don't come for Nas, okay?
He's one of my favorite rappers. He's a bad actor.
But the thing about it is, like, I think he works in this part. I think he works in it. I think he does a great job. Like, the thing is about it, it's like it's clunky, but it's the kind of honest kind of clunky to me. Like, I feel like he does capture.
If you watch his interviews, he's exactly he's clumsy.
Time is Illmatic, the doc about like the retrospective, the 20-year anniversary on Illmatic. Like it's just what Nas is like. He's just a very quiet, kind of understated guy. I think it's just harsh.
What was it like making one of the best albums ever?
Yeah, it was cool.
I don't know.
I was there.
It was pretty nice.
The beats were pretty great. Awesome. But no, I think the unfortunate thing with Nas is he's paired with like one of the most charismatic men I've ever seen in my life in DMX.
Oh, of course.
Like, that's the thing. That's like DMX. It sucks that he's second bill because you're like, that is like the more fascinating character arc and the more like dynamic performance where he's just like constantly moving, just like tilting his head. It's so restless. It's so.
I think it's really strange to me that Magic Johnson was so ideologically opposed to it because it does have like a kind of like resist crime, go back to the motherland kind of motif throughout, which is like I feel like Magic Johnson. But it's a very optimistic movie in some senses. It's like I'm shocked that it's like it's about in one half of it, it's about a man rejecting crime to go to a place that he feels like he'll be accepted for who he is, and like I'm shocked that like I feel like he didn't watch the movie.
1,000%.
He like walked out in the club scene or something like that, and he was like, "This is disgraceful. This is against everything I stand for." And I'm like, I don't know if that's true.
Right. It was definitely more so just a thing of in the 90s. It's like rap music is bad for African Americans.
It wasn't made any easier by Biggie and Tupac dying.
Well, this movie also has a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes, and then you look at it and you're like, oh, it's all white.
What the fuck, really?
Not necessarily. One of the reviews was written by Renee Graham of the Boston Globe, and she was very negative on the movie.
Oh my God.
She is, I believe, a black critic. I think I've seen her in some of the CNN movie specials, but the quote that they have for the Metacritic review is, "This sickeningly violent film starring a bevy of rap stars marks the feature debut of hot video director Hype Williams. And while there are hints of his trademark trippiness, this is basically an utterly joyless endeavor." Disagree.
Disagree. You know, yeah, disagree.
To each their own.
Charlie is still right. I would say 95, maybe 98% are all white dudes.
I mean, yeah, guys like Mike D'Angelo.
Fuck Mike D'Angelo. Get out of here. Go back to playing poker, you bitch.
Owen Gleiberman. Oh my God. Owen Gleiberman gave it a D. That's not surprising.
Is he the one that wanted to fuck Elastigirl, or is that someone else?
That was Anthony Lane.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Why did y'all both have the name at the ready?
Mad money out here, dog. Mad money out here. I'ma stop when I'm dead. End the story.
Don't lie to me. I can tell something happened.
I ain't going back to jail, dog. I need some help.
You gotta promise. You gotta swear that you're not gonna look for them.
Yo, this is the only one I got in my corner, man. Don't cross him.
Okay, initial thoughts. I will go first. I very much love this movie. It's just rewatching it today. It's one of like the most creatively directed movies of the 90s. I wish more people talked about it. DMX is fantastic in it. The needle drop choices are incredible. The opening scene set to Soul to Soul, the acapella of that is phenomenal. When D'Angelo's Devil's Pie drops over that montage is
Yeah.
fucking fantastic. And then when the acapella of that plays over the credits really creepily, I really love that. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Like I said, uh, I don't know why Nas is top bill because I feel like it's more DMX's story that Nas
Yeah.
is having to deal
I guess
with.
because of the ending. You
Well,
got it.
yeah, and Nas
like-
was bigger at the time,
And Nas made Illmatic. You can't put him second build. I guess is the
right?
thing.
And
It's
DMX is when they were making this, he wasn't anybody big, but by the time it came out, his second album had come out.
was,
So
Yeah, he was huge by the time it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was DMX
Um,
ever top billed for anything?
Exit Wounds? No, that had to be Seagal.
No. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Nothing big. I would say, yeah,
Because Jet Li's first build for Cradle to the Grave.
yeah.
Damn.
There was a movie.
Which you can't not top
Oh,
build.
what
Uh,
about that movie Never Die Alone by Ernest Dickerson?
Oh,
no,
yeah,
no.
of course.
Oh.
Do you know what's weird? Do you know what streaming service that's on in the UK?
Disney Plus?
Disney Plus.
Okay, cool.
Canada as
Yeah,
well.
Never Die Alone.
Cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
fucking nuts.
Because it's Fox Searchlight, yeah.
Oh my
Fucking
god, I
star.
remember this now. Now the poster's
Yeah.
sending me back. Yep.
I desperately want to see it. It sounds like my thing.
I've heard it's
I've heard it's
nasty.
good. Yeah.
I mean, it's DMX. It should be.
Yeah, that's true. I did see a movie. It was like directed by somebody. It was almost like directed by Chaos. It was like somebody of that one word kind of name. It was like DMX, Lou Diamond Phillips, and I was like, oh god, oh no,
Lance Vance himself.
oh man, Bats himself. Yeah. But yeah, just to sum it up, yeah, I love this movie. I quote it all the time with my friend. It's a really good time. I love the use of contrast in this movie where there's some scenes where you don't notice any detail in the room because the contrast is so high and then the colors are just also so high. But yeah, just his use of contrast and blues and reds and greens, it's really beautiful. But Logan, as our guest, what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I love this movie. To me, like, I can't think of a single movie I've ever seen that uses the color blue as vividly and as
Man.
distinctively as this movie does.
Yeah.
Like, all the shots in like DMX's bedroom, they're just coated with the blue, are just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And to think that this was shot for like such a comparatively like low budget is crazy because like every scene is inventively shot and put together, and it's shot with such like elegance and like confidence that like if you didn't know it was a debut feature, I don't think you would have guessed, because it just
No.
feels like someone who, like, obviously he's been fine tuning his style through music videos, but like I feel like everyone knows that a music video and a movie are very different things in terms of the step up, and like he makes it seamlessly. And like the opening club sequence is like everyone talks. If you love the movie, everyone knows that the opening is one of the most jaw dropping like visual sequences of its era, and I would kill to see it on 35. I think it would look
Yeah.
so amazing on 35. And it's one of those movies that like even if the print's really beat up, it would kind of add something to
Oh
it.
yeah.
Like if like the cracks in them. That's what I like about 35 is when the prints are fucked up. Like I remember they put like a disclaimer for the in the cut print, and I was like, fuck, I want to see that one so bad because of that.
Yeah.
Like it would be so cool. Like the appeal for celluloid to me is like at any point it could just fucking burn up and go wrong. Like there's something appealing about that. And I think if there's any movie that you would want that to happen with, it'd be like the ending of Belly just dissolving into celluloid. Would be really
Mhm.
cool. Obviously,
Yeah.
don't want that to happen for the sake of the print's integrity, but it would be cool.
Yeah.
I love the performances. I think the DMX arc is very, very beautiful and tragic, and I think about like the assassination sequence all the time. It's one of the, like it's like lodged in my brain, the visual setup of it. It was very funny because when we were watching the movie, Jillian kept yelling out, "He's a rat! He's a fucking rat!" And I was like, "It's more nuanced than that, babe. It's more nuanced and complicated." But she's a snitches get stitches kind of lady, so it was hard for her
Well,
to forgive. I love the music. The D'Angelo needle drop's my favorite. I fucking
Oh
love
yeah.
D'Angelo.
Mm,
D'Angelo
course.
is my favorite like R&B artist of all time.
Same.
So like the needle drop kills me. There's so much good music. I listened to D'Angelo years before, but there's so many like soundtrack songs from Belly that I've like that led me to getting deeper into artist discography, which is always
Mm-hmm.
great with a movie. Like a big appeal of Cameron Crowe movies is that for me as well, which is an odd comparison to make, but um, I just think I saw this years ago for the first time, and like rewatching it now, I think it was the first time in 4 years. I remembered like most of it so vividly just from how distinct the images are and like how clear the visual identity is. And I think anyone that calls it style over substance is very, very stupid.
Oh
Because
yeah.
there's such a deep like thematic and like ideological core. It's about like to me like it reminded me of like John Singleton's Higher Learning in some ways, as it seems to like a director that's coming into like a point in their life where they're questioning like almost two paths of what blackness in modern day America looks like. And like I think it's really interesting that like hype like positions the life of like these poor New York black men as like you can either leave or die, and there's something really bleak about that. But the contrast between like the bleakness of DMX's art mixed with the kind of redemptive joy of like the bright yellows of Africa when Nas arrives there is really beautiful to me. And I think that it would have been very easy for him to go like full Higher Learning and make a very, very bleak, pessimistic movie that is very disturbing. But there's something like light and honest and kind about Belly. There's so many little grace notes, so many little nice moments between Nas and DMX and their friendship and
mhm.
the relationships they have with the women in their life that I think are really well done and really compelling. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies of the late '90s. It looks and sounds so fucking good.
Yeah, to your point, Logan, I think the style is the substance also.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it is, like, I don't understand how you can just equate, oh, it's overly style. Like, it's a whole vibe. The style is just so intoxicating.
Yeah.
It's an exhilarating film on a sensory
Oh, it's so
level
good.
in so many ways. Um, I guess maybe just to bleed into it, mirror what you two have said so far. It's great. It's fantastic. I feel bad that I did not see it until last year when DMX passed away, and everyone was tweeting about how great this movie was, and I was like, fuck, I've still never seen this. And so I watched it like the day he died and was like, yeah, holy shit, like just couldn't believe it took me this long. And then I rewatched it earlier today, and it holds up just as well. And it's just I completely agree with you. It's a shame that Hype Williams is only able to make this movie, because I just love how he doesn't compromise at all in terms of like
Yeah.
style or like and I assume that the negative reviews at the time were not just white people being racist, but also because they were focusing more on the plot, which is sort of convoluted, but it doesn't really matter because it feels so real in that everyone's turning against each other.
I think in the middle
And
it's convoluted, yeah, but I think it clears out by the end.
yeah, yeah, but it also makes sense. I mean, like, there's a certain scene where a certain character comes back towards the end and was like, this is for what you did in the basement. And it, like, genuinely shocked me. And I'd seen the movie before and I was like, oh shit, I forgot about this. Like, but that's because it feels like a world that's fully lived
Oh yeah.
in.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's so it's such inventive, audacious filmmaking on every level, and the ending is genuinely
Yeah,
moving.
yeah.
Like, but
Uh
so
Sorry, but the thing that I just remembered there, the thing is like this the scene in like the daylight when everything goes wrong and they're like on these like this
mhm.
like the city streets. The way like they shoot the sunlight, like way Hype shoots the sunlight on these like normal street corners, it feels so vivid. It doesn't look like New York in a way I've ever seen it before, which is so crazy because it's just
Yeah.
like natural sunlight and street corners. But the way that like that, like I think mostly about like the scene where they're pivoting around the corner and the camera is just a certain angle and a certain tilt. That it's just so like the every little camera choice feels like oozing with confidence. Like he's like Spielberg doing
Yeah.
West Side Story levels of confidence in the way that he moves and maneuvers the camera, which is ridiculous.
even in Yeah, and then when he moves to places like Omaha or Jamaica, it's the same thing. I mean, and then the way that he can contrast scenes that are in full daylight versus like, we'll get into the plot, but a raid that takes place inside somebody's house, and like you can still tell in the darkness where everyone is in relation to one
Yeah.
another, and
Yeah.
it's using color in the most minimalist use of color in such
Yeah.
vibrant ways.
And the
It's-
way like the
yeah.
flickering light of the TV when they're playing Gummo, like contrasts with like the overwhelming darkness of the rest of the room, but you can still see the shape and shadows of people's features and bodies. And I don't know, like
Mhm.
it makes my head hurt trying to figure out how he did it all. Like it just seems like so much micromanaging of lighting. It seems like a nightmare.
Yeah.
But like it paid off.
There's that scene. There's that scene where DMX's girlfriend, when they wake her up at the start, and she comes down and like the camera's behind her, and it's like up, like behind her, and then it goes like up tight, and I'm just like, what are we doing? This is insane.
I don't know how like I understand that like with like going through like the undeveloped project that he like the couple undeveloped projects, he was probably just like, it'll just be easier if I just keep doing videos because I get to do whatever I want pretty much, and people always need
Mhm.
music videos, and it means that I can work a lot and do a lot of different things, and I don't have to worry about like budget. I don't have to worry about like compromising myself artistically. I don't have to worry about like these managements, like meetings with boardrooms and executives, and putting in so much work that might never manifest. Whereas I can like work with Aaliyah or someone like that, and then like 2 weeks I've got
Mhm.
something and I've gotten paid and I've done something I'm satisfied with. I think honestly it was probably just like I'm sure like he could make another movie if he wanted to, but I think there was a point where he was just like, this is just a lot of effort, and no one liked like most people didn't
Mhm.
like Belly. It made its money back, but it didn't make like a lot of money by any means. So like it probably just
Yeah.
seemed like I've done all these things. They've been canceled. A couple things. People didn't really want Belly. They didn't really accept Belly when it came out. I'll just go and do fucking videos because people love me there, and I'm good at them, and
Mhm.
it's easier. And you can't really blame him for doing that because especially at that period of like filmmaking, it seemed like a fucking nightmare to work with anyone in studios. So I don't
Yeah.
blame him, but
Yeah.
it is a real shame that we didn't get to see what he would have done with like digital cameras in the
Oh,
filmmaking
buddy.
sense,
Oh,
like
man.
those the way he would use color with a digital camera, the way he like I feel would be, because like the way he uses color in the All of the Lights video is so distinct, like those blues, those seething
Oh, yeah.
blues, like the flashing red lights scattered amongst the frame, like the obviously the very blatant flashing lights that are very very overwhelming, but like I just see like I can imagine a future where Hype Williams became like one of the distinct underground American filmmakers of a generation, and it's a shame that he didn't get to be that because of a variety of reasons.
And the thing is, he's like 28 when this movie comes out. So, and he's like 51 now or
Yeah.
something like that. So like he still has like, who knows? Maybe he could make a
I
comeback.
mean, like
Mal-
sometime.
Malik
Like,
took
Tom
20
Briggs.
years
It would be
off,
awesome if he did.
So
Hey,
Elaine May's making another movie, and she's 90. So
she's finally she's coming back to make Ishtar
Yeah.
too. Fun fact. She just wants to fuck
That's
with
true.
everyone.
That's true. She should just come back and be like, "Here's the Heartbreak Kid. You can actually watch it now." Instead
Oh,
of
but
on
you
YouTube,
can
and
watch
everybody
it.
be
You,
like, "Oh,
you can
fuck."
just rent the version with Ben Stiller and Michelle Monaghan and Malin Ackerman. Good movie. It's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
yeah. Bryden, initial thoughts?
yeah. So I'd never seen this before. I thought it was incredible. This is like neck and neck with The Limey for being like the best movie I think we've covered for Artisan so far. I mean, we'll see if there's like others that maybe like down the line that we cover as we're wrapping up the May series that take its place. But this is
Bryden.
Yeah,
we haven't even
come
talked
on,
about the
Bryden.
Punisher yet.
Oh my goodness!
Thomas
Right?
Jane,
What am I
Brian.
thinking?
Yeah, come on.
Ben Foster.
Yeah. Um,
Facial
Um,
piercings.
So I really liked this a lot, and it was really cool. Last night, I was texting Kevin about how like I was watching like a bunch of Hype Williams music videos just to sort of get a sense of like his style beyond like kind of the fisheye lens look that I feel like is been like parodied in like sketches by like people like Dave Chappelle and everything. I feel like that's like one of the few things that I sort of knew about his style going in, and it was really cool watching a lot of his videos and how you know, people like kind of like use like, oh, it looks like a music video, and like kind of knock that, use it as pejoratively to talk about like a movie when they criticize it. And I think it's really interesting how like he's so good at like crafting like mini narratives in like music videos, and like, you know, just like I watched like the first video I watched was the video for "I Got a Man" by Positive K, and it's like, you know, maybe like a 4 minute song or whatever, but like in that in that video, it's like he's able to like tell a narrative where it's like, all right, he wants to, this guy Positive K wants to go to a party and like hit on a bunch of women and see which one he like, you know, get some luck with and everything, and like you see like all the different narratives, and like, you know, it's like kind of between like him and like the party, and then like his imagined fantasies of like him scoring with these women. I'm making this sound very like retrograde, and maybe it is like, but like it's like
regardless, there's a story. Yeah.
And like he's able to do that in Belly, like the scene where like Method Man and Tyrone Turner are at the bar and everything, just like the way that you cut between like reaction shots of like Tyrone Turner, like, you know, drugging Method Man's drink and then also locking eyes with people across the room. It's like you don't necessarily know who those characters are that he's locking eyes with, but it's like without really much dialogue, it's like you know who everyone is in relation to each other, and like you also get the sense of like building tension that something is about to go down. And it's like really like that's just like pure filmmaking is like storytelling. Like that's just incredible. And I also love like the color, as Logan said. I mean, like just the contrast in like Nas and DMX's like houses and everything, how they're lit and everything, like the warm sort of dim reddish lighting of like Nas's home life where he's like cuddling with his girlfriend and everything, versus like kind of the more sterile like funereal looks of like DMX's place. Like it will be like these sterile like white lobby.
That place is overwhelming.
Yeah, and it's like just like pure white and everything. But then like in like his bathroom, it looks like a morgue or something with like blue and black and everything. It's just like this looks so like, and like the
your eyes would hurt if you were living
yeah,
there.
it's so cool. And also just like how to make images that like have like such size and scale, like when DMX like steps out and like he's like got the painting above him and it's like the low angle and he's in the center of the frame and everything. It's just like he looks so imposing just like in how he's shot. And it's really interesting too how like seeing some of like the types of images that were in like some of the Hyperlinks videos I watched too, like lots of like images of like children and sort of like, you know, thinking about like their future and everything. Like in the Can It Be Also Simple video for Wu-Tang Clan, like it's like Method Man holding a baby and also like posing with the children while rapping about the future.
Such a good video.
It's great. And then like, you know, the Puff Daddy I'll Be Missing You video with like 112 and Faith Evans, where it's like there's like a scene where he's like running up the hill with like a bunch of children in like white clothing and everything, and it's kind of over the top and everything, but it's really interesting. Then you see that in Belly, the scene when they go to Jamaica, and like there's like it really lingers on the images of the kids who are like running after like DMX and like, you know, banging out the car and everything, like just sort of like thinking about their futures and everything. And then of course that leads into the ending. And what's really cool about the ending is how like it takes all these images that are so of like, you know, the iconography of like these big rap videos and everything with like money and sex and, you know, drug and alcohol use and everything, and then like sort of upending them where it's like they've been making it look cool at the time, but then the movie's at the end is questioning like, well, what is more important and everything? Should we be thinking about like the children of like the future and everything? I maybe make this sound like I think I'm simplifying it and not expressing it as well as the movie and everything, but it's really interesting just to see the imagery that's so present in his videos turned on its head almost in this feature-length film.
I agree, and I think it comes back to the point of like it is like I would not say like a conservative viewpoint by any means, but it is kind of like a more traditional like viewpoint of like, no, we don't want these things. These things are very, very bad. We want an honest family life. That's kind of like, if there's any theme to the movie, is that you should respect the home and respect your woman and your child, and embrace that above any material pleasures or drug running or killing and gambling and all those dirty things, you know. And there is that kind of like running thematic through hand, and it is interesting as how it subverts the way that he conveys those things in a really cool way with his music videos, like throughout his career. I think it is very interesting, and that's what the thing is that like with Hype, like obviously maybe that would have changed over the course of his career. If he'd kept making movies, he might have pivoted more away from the music video aesthetic completely. But to me, it's like it's like with David Fincher, who's probably the most famous music video director turned filmmaker. There's very little traces of his style from like the Madonna videos anywhere in his feature films, I would say, at all. Like he changed completely. Whereas Jonathan Glazer, another big video director, a lot of his films have a lot of the visual iconography of his music videos, like Under the Skin. so many
Yeah.
shots in that look like laser shot videos. And I think
Michel
that
Gondry is also another
Michel
one I
Gondry,
think
yeah,
of.
100%. That's a really good pill, Charlie. Yeah, I agree. But like, yeah, 'cause, like I think Hype maybe like if he kept making movies, he would have pivoted more away from the video aesthetic and into a distinct aesthetic he's crafted for cinema, for the cinema that he was looking to achieve. But as this is his only feature film, I see the interesting contrast between how he approached visual language before and how he like changed with the times and pivoted into like kind of warmer aesthetic of the 2000s. Like a lot of his videos in the 2000s are a lot more like teal, like kind of these yellows and oranges and the kind of like more like the colors of the Never Die Alone poster than anything.
Uh-huh.
Like they're not. His videos are less brown, but they kind of like the yellows and oranges are so stark that they have brownish quantities surrounding the grain. I'm a big
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his music videos. I'm a big fan of Belly. I think that.
Yeah.
I don't understand. My big thing is I just don't understand how someone could watch this movie and think it is just a music video. Like it clearly has such a clear sense of geography and spatial awareness and like visual language. And it's like such a it's like comparing like, oh, this movie's like a play. It's like you're not saying anything.
Mhm.
How is it like a play? Use your words. You are paid to do this, you fucking rat. Like
Yeah.
sorry if that's harsh to the critics who reviewed Belly.
No,
It's
no.
frustrating as an observer of these pieces.
Mhm.
And like the visual storytelling, I think like one of the questions I posed like in just like one of our Zoom calls that wasn't recorded or whatever, but it was like asking like what would be like a good movie to watch at like a bar or something where like you just have the sound off, but you just like watch the images and like you're still able to like follow along the story, but also like just like you have like beautiful
that's a good
images like going across. This would be like a perfect movie to put on a bar because like you could have it with the sound off.
Uh,
The sound of and the music, of course, are a big part of it, but like you would be like. I'd be able to follow like you can like he's so good at like cutting things together. And shooting things, like, in a
my
dynamic
pick
way.
would be
You can follow
Joseph Kosinski's Oblivion. I think that's a very
Uh-huh.
the screenplay of that movie is fucking terrible. I'm a big fan of the movie. The screenplay is awful, but it looks so gorgeous and all of the visual iconography is so distinct. You can kind of just basically understand what's happening with no dialogue. It would maybe honestly be better with no
Yeah.
dialogue because the twists in that film screenplay are so predictable. You can I was like 11 and I predicted every one of them before they happened. And like if I watched it now and I remember all the twists, but if I watched it now, I'd just be like, oh, like this is one of the most beautiful movies ever made, but this is such a dumb screenplay. I think that's my pick for a bar movie.
I've been to more than one bar that has been playing the first John Wick.
Oh,
And it
yeah,
actually
no,
plays
that
really
makes
well.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's like
My pick would be A Few Good Men. Glenn Glarigan and Ross. I think this would work.
Derek Jarman's
Are we
Blue.
gonna?
I don't know. Those movies feel like plays to me.
Let's blow on some David Mamet. He's in the news right now. This will pay off.
Oh,
great.
Oleana.
Yeah.
That's a movie I want to watch at a bar.
Yeah, that's such a good
Uh-huh.
quote. I read the Wikipedia synopsis for the play, and I was like, "Oh no! Why did you do
Ooh,
this?"
Yep. I mean, David Mamet's an insane person who with terrible politics, but I like most of his movies. Not
Alright,
that
okay,
one.
but okay,
Ooh.
right. I don't drink, but we're gonna open a bar anyway. I'm opening a bar, and the only
Uh-huh.
movie that's gonna be playing is the Isabelle Huppert film Ma Mère.
Okay. All right.
uh,
All right.
we're gonna watch A Mumfucker's Son, and we're gonna watch it every single night.
Oh, boy.
And while people are playing darts and shooting pool, they're gonna see Isabelle Huppert killing herself mid sun sex.
Yeah. What do we do about nobody showing up at our bar? I just can't pin it down. Yeah. Oh, it's on the menu. Can you start the movie again? Yeah. Yeah. What am I saying? Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
This is our version of like putting on Gummo when people come to hang out.
No, that's a great idea.
It's so funny. They just shot and robbed a club, and they get in, and my man was just like, "Yo, check this
fucking
out."
Gummo.
And he's like, puts on Gummo.
That's me showing the film No Reservations to people.
Oh my god.
Bro, have you seen this?
Can we leave? I'm sorry, the doors are
Bro,
locked.
Catherine
Sorry.
Zeta-Jones has to look after a young child, like, bro, and she's a chef. What the fuck? You gotta see this movie.
Let's get into the plot real quick. There is a lot, and hopefully it's not as convoluted as in the middle. It gets really, but like you said, like
Yeah, I don't know what happens in the middle.
yeah, there's a lot of so and so did this, and I'm like, who's so and so again? Okay, yeah, it's fine.
There's
It's
also
fine.
like a lot of short form, like people referring to each other by nicknames. Like when DMX calling the one character Ox, I didn't realize until I checked the movie afterwards. Like, oh, that character's name is Lennox. Like they just called him Ox for short. Just took the last two letters. I was like, don't know if that would work for like that. It's funny just like thinking of how often like if someone like called me like Den or something. Just
Call you Lee. Yeah.
I'm okay. So we've got N, we've got Den, we've got Gan, and we've got E.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Oh god, that makes me sound like the fucking character from Entourage, though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
You
No,
were
okay,
doing the
right.
movie.
All right, no, okay. Kevin's Johnny Drama,
Okay.
and Brian's Turtle.
Oh, I don't like that.
I'm Vinny Chase, and Charlie Z.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because I would play Aquaman clearly. So I'm Vinny
You would be
Chase.
the lead in Queen's Boulevard. Yes.
Yeah, no, I would be in The Devil Wears Prada, and I would ruin Anne Hathaway's day.
Uh-huh. All of the women who listen to this podcast have now turned it off. Anyways,
I'm sorry to women.
Yeah. I'm gonna replay that anytime a man does anything bad. It'd be like, yes, but we've already apologized for that. Logan Kenny already
I'm a
said it.
spokesman for all men, and we all apologize to women all the time.
I mean, Alex Garland is trying to do that. We'll see how successful that is.
No.
Not getting into it.
I know I posted it on the chat, but at the Coolidge Corner Theater where I work at right now, it's just on our marquee. Coming soon, men. Just
Bro, are
No
you
thanks.
Are you telling me that Rory Kinnear is playing multiple men as a metaphor? What the fuck? Oh my god!
I think it has to do with like Adam and Eve. Like that's pretty fucking dope.
What if you made it? No, it should be about Adam and Steve. You should get with the culture if it's going to be about men. Come on.
That's true. Yeah.
Come on, retell it, pussy.
Yeah. Alex Garland called out.
Alex Garland, you should do gay rap in your movie called Men. Come on. Come on. Try harder.
But about the nicknames, it is funny whenever Nas is narrating. He was just like, "This is Buns" or Tommy for short, and I'm like, "How is that short for Buns?" Yeah. In 1999, Queens, New York City, young street criminals Buns and Sincere, along with associates Mark and Black, murder 5 people during a violent nightclub robbery. After celebrating with the game, Sincere returns home to his girlfriend Tion, played by T-Boss, and infant daughter Kenya. I thought that was DMX at the start. I was like, DMX doesn't have a kid. The following morning, Tommy asks Sincere to help him sell a new form of heroin. This isn't in here, which he hears about from Kurt Loder on MTV News while he's in the shower. Just thinking about having a big CRT TV in your bathroom that you can see through your it's wild times. Sincere, who has been having second thoughts about his life of crime, but reluctantly agrees. Tommy then visits Ox, a wealthy Jamaican drug lord who agrees to obtain the heroin on the condition that Tommy repay him with a favor at a later date.
I'm also just skimming this right now, and some of these events are out of order with the chronology of the film. I'm just realizing.
Well, I'll try my
whatever.
best.
Oh, no, it's not your fault.
There's also, like, when DMX has an argument with his girlfriend because he's apparently having sex with
a 15-year-old.
Yeah, and then, and then his girlfriend's yelling at him about, like, she's sucking his ding-a-ling or whatever she calls it, which is really
Your
funny.
tiny little ding-a-ling, yeah.
Yeah. And this is again where like the striking editing and contrast between the two characters' lives like comes through in the sex scenes where it's like really slow and tender and like the
drums that start playing. Oh my god!
Yeah, it's like really fast and like rapid cutting and like the dark blue room of like DMX's house. It's really striking, just getting a sense of like the different temperatures of the relationship.
DMX also has a tattoo that says "One Love" on his back when they're making up. Like it explicitly kind of focuses on.
Guys,
that,
I think we should know
Yeah.
that Nas was involved in writing this in some sense, so he wants to reference the album that everyone remembers him for. It'd be really funny if he was just like he wrote another movie and it was like there's just a tattoo saying King's Disease on someone's neck.
That would be funny. Yeah. King's Disease.
It also is a good point in, I forget if it was Logan or Brian, I'm sorry, but like in contrasting like what Nas' character wants to achieve through that. I mean, and it does a very seductive job of when you're in DMX's apartment, you're like, holy shit, I want this too. My God. And then like Nas still has a house and it's much more you know,
Conventional.
like cozy and
Yeah.
conventional, but it's still house, but it is like, yeah, to go on the theme of like finding home and being happy with what you have, as opposed to, I mean, this, you know, the house that DMX has, oh my god, I mean, I get, it makes you get the appeal of why they do this, like, as horrible as it is. I hope that came out, I hope that was
Yeah.
coherent.
Oh
No,
yeah.
it was. Yeah, I get it. I think what Nas needs to accept is he has a fucking adorable baby. That
Yeah,
baby
true.
is so cute.
true.
What the fuck?
Who he often refers to as the baby.
That's what. That's the thing is. That's what you
Yeah,
would like.
yeah.
I don't know. Like my dog Jesse, I always say, "Oh, the baby." Like, "Oh, this little baby's."
It's
really
the
Yeah.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah, like we would. You would just say that. Like, I'm not gonna call you by your name. Come on.
Yeah.
I was actually, we refer to, my roommate and I refer to our dogs as the boys, and I was explaining this to
The
people
boys.
at work who just got
They're the
hired,
boys.
and one of them was like, wait, do you have kids? I'm like, no, we have dogs.
Well, I am a dog dad, and they were just like, okay, we're not going to talk to you anymore. But
Yeah, I'm,
Yeah.
you know, I'm the father
Yeah.
of a giant stuffed cat that I cuddle to sleep. I'm the dad of that.
yeah. The next scene in Mark's grandmother's basement, which is a hilarious scene, the gang convenes to discuss the drug operation. One of Tommy's associates' knowledge will be involved in the operation. The fact they're just going in on my man, I forget his name, but it's just like DMX is like, I'm seeing a lot of hostility will come from that couch over there. And my man is just so pissed. It's really good. Knowledge will be involved in the operation. Knowledge tells Tommy over the phone that Black had been talking about robbing Sincere to get his larger share of the loot from the nightclub. Enraged, Tommy forces Black to strip naked in front of the others, firing a handgun wildly into the floor.
Multiple times, too.
Which I want to believe that wasn't in the script. DMX just ran with it. I would see that. The gang begins transporting heroin from Queens to Omaha, where they begin to overrun the local drug business. Big Head Rico, an Omaha dealer, informs the police of their activities. The resulting raid at their stash house ends with Mark's death and Knowledge's arrest. Knowledge angrily realizes that Tommy will not bail him out of jail and calls Shamik, played by Method Man, to both infiltrate Rico's gang and kill Tommy. Shamik confronts Nico at a strip club and guns him down when he tries to flee. He is shot by the bartender and stumbles out of the club. He evades the police.
It's crazy that he survives after taking a shotgun blast
To the chest!
No, well,
It's wild.
that is something that stuck out to me too. Even if people die shortly after, people get shot in this movie and they keep fucking going, like at multiple people, like, and it's oof.
I also want to like just go back because like there's some like great like bits. I mean, the thing that also like people like calling this movie joyless. I think the movie's also like really funny at times.
Yeah,
So
great
funny.
It is
Like when DMX and Nas are like driving around, and there's a bit where DMX insists that Nas' reading is a problem with like his business. He says, "Shorty can't eat no books" or whatever.
It's not austere in the slightest.
Yeah.
It's very
You need to
funny.
get your head
It's
out of the
just-
books.
it's
Fuck
just-
a book.
It's like saying that Goodfellas
Yeah.
isn't funny. Like obviously Goodfellas is funny. It's also tragic. It can be two things. Movies can be
Mhm.
more than one
Mhm.
thing. Like honestly, I feel like a lot of the reviews of Belly were just what they thought it was going to be and not what it is. And I think what they thought it was going to be kind of sums up a lot of people's perceptions of black art,
Oh, yeah.
especially black
Mhm.
art about like crime. Like I think if you watch this, and I'm glad that the reappraisal of Belly has been so severe. Like I think everyone that I know who's seen it really, really likes it.
And
And like there were rep screenings of it on 35mm, like we said. Like,
Yeah.
and, like
Yeah.
Dave did
Yeah,
a showing
no,
of it, I
like-
think, a few years ago.
It's a big thing now, and it's like I feel like that's just because people have actually been like, oh yeah, no, people were just being kind of racist.
I
in
mean, the
perceptions of
Watermelon
it.
Woman is a great movie too that only came out 2 years prior, and that took a long time to get recognized by people that were not
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
film scholars or because was that the first American film to be made by a black
Lesbian
queer-
woman. Yeah.
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 That's insane. That was only
Yeah.
2 years before this, and
Oh, yeah.
that one got. But that one too, you look at earlier reviews and they're like, I mean, it's really sloppy, but it's interesting. It's like, no, it's a great fucking movie.
Uh-huh.
I'm not. I find it more. I find it more interesting to
Yeah.
talk about and think about than I do to watch with Watermelon Woman.
Mm-hmm.
With
Hell
Belly,
yeah.
I
I wanna
wanna
talk about
do
it while I
both
watch it.
all the time. But the thing about I think about with Watermelon, it's a great movie to hang with the boys, the dogs, talk and talk and watch it. But like with Bellios, like there are like big stars in Belly, like maybe not movie stars, but there's like big music stars, which means you think it should have been at least a little bit bigger. And then, but with Watermelon Woman, it's like it's a really small independent movie with no one famous in it, so it makes more sense that one went under the radar, even though it's very sad that it did. With Belly, it's just very confusing. Like I feel like a lot of people probably still won't know that there's a Nas DMX like Hype Williams movie named Belly that came out. I feel like probably a lot of people still don't know it exists, and that to me is nuts because it feels like this should be like a universal cult film, you know. Like I know, like a bunch of rappers really love it. Like I know there's a bunch of people that really call it one of their favorite movies.
And you think about something like the Boondock Saints, which came out a year later, and that is considered like that is a huge cult, like phenomenon, and it's a piece of shit. It's compared to something like this,
Okay, right, all right. The raspberry and thumbs down is not fair. I have not seen all of the Boondock Saints. I have seen clips on YouTube, and the clips are bad. It's not the same as seeing the whole movie.
Logan, I'm gonna lay my own feet to the fire here. I liked that movie a lot in high school, and might have even had a hoodie for it. It's a terrible movie.
Man.
It's.
I did have the Steelbook DVD when it came out because it was cool to me. Yeah.
Was anyone a Smoking Aces fan in here?
Oh hell yeah, that shit ruled.
I saw
that.
Lucky
Numbers.
No, I didn't see that one. But Smoking Aces I did dig, and I've been curious to revisit it because I'm like Jeremy Piven in a serious. I don't know about this. And also.
Oh yeah, none of us are Ari from Entourage.
I feel okay with that.
I'm cool with that.
We all dodged the bullet. We all dodged the fucking bullet.
I remember growing up and being like, God, Ari Gold's the coolest character ever, and then going back, I'm like, all he does is just call his assistant gay.
And women bitches. Like he's like.
That's the most. Ironically, that's the most DMX thing.
I mean, so many shows. I mean, like I would go to the gym in the before times and watch like an episode of Friends because nothing was on, and like it would always be like Winona Ryder's guest starring, and then just be like, well, "You didn't even sleep with her. What are you, gay?" Like it was so much.
Yeah, there's so much gay. I've seen every episode of Friends so many times. I was obsessed with it as a kid. There's so many gay jokes in it. Like there's the bit where like Ross is like, "There's a nanny who's male." Is he a homo? Like, what's going on? Like, God, I have like passionate Friends opinions still because of my childhood. Like, I went on like a 30-minute rant to Jillian about how Joey and Rachel should have ended up together because they were.
She just nodded and kept saying, And
she was like, "Yes, honey," and I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm fucking right." Ross does
suck.
Ross is the fucking worst.
So bad. He's like the Rory Gilmore.
I don't like that. Rory Gilmore rules. She has her.
Rory Gilmore is a great, like, as a brilliantly written character. Like Ross is not. That's the main difference. Is that Ross is so bad. God, Friends is.
All right, back to Friends from 1998. Where were we?
Sorry, that's my fault.
Tommy travels to Jamaica and repays Ox by killing Sosa, the son of a local drug lord. Back home, Tommy's girlfriend Keisha is arrested by police and later bailed out by Tion. Tommy finds out about the raid and leaves town. Pelpa, a close friend of Sosa, finds out that Ox ordered the hit on Sosa. Pelpa sends a hit squad to kill Ox in his home, which that scene fucking rips. Ox kills most of his hitmen before dying at the hands of a female assassin. Most wild shit ever. It just jumps on top of him from like the third floor and knifes him to death.
Yeah.
Let's get hyped to do John Wick 4.
Yes! Let's go.
Oh my God.
Let's go. Oh
yeah,
man.
That scene is wild where he's like sliding around on the floor with like a machine gun, like he's doing a guitar solo or something.
Yeah.
And I also love that like Nas's VO. I mean, his voiceover. I mean, it sounds like he's half asleep for most of the movie. That's like, I mean, it's fine, but it's funny when he's like saying his throat was slit from ear to ear. Damn, he's just like kind of like expressing like mild surprise at like just the most violent shit happening in the movie.
Yeah, I love that scene, how dark it is, and really the only thing you're seeing is kind of him, but also the red dot sights from the guns. Yeah, it's cool shit.
Yeah. And he says, go ahead. The shots from the that are not from the muzzle of the gun, but like they're almost like what am I what's the word I'm looking for?
Like the laser pointers? Like,
no, like, but there's like perspectives from his gun that
Oh,
almost
yes,
looks like
yes.
a first-person shooter at one point, but not in a bad way either.
There's that shot
yes.
with Method Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the two guns. Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
I also love the line that Ox has in that scene where he's like, "I murder people for fun." Like, when he's
yeah.
There's so many great like offhand lines in this movie. It's so fun.
Oh yeah. Whenever Knowledge goes to jail and whatnot, and then Buns goes to Sincere, and he's just talking about all that, and he's like, "That's your man's. That's your man's." I love that scene.
Yeah, and he's like swinging his arms. Like he's like the gestures that DMX makes when he's like just like heightening, emphasizing the points that he's making. It's just like so.
He was so captivating with his hands and with his the thing about DMX is that like you can feel when you listen to his music that he is not just rapping with his mouth, he's rapping with his whole body. Like
yeah.
he gives everything to it, and he acts the same way. Honestly, Shotty didn't do more acting because like he is so expressive and charismatic, and maybe he doesn't have like the most range. You're not gonna see him play people that aren't like DMX, but like why would you need to when it's so primal and cosmic?
I want to see DMX play Hamlet. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that would be great. Like him
Yeah.
that would have been on like the way he deliver Shakespeare I think would be really fire. Like he would do
Yeah,
I think he would really approach iambic pentameter in a really unique way. If we get, honestly, Method Man would do it really weirdly too. Like, imagine how much spit he would let out on all the vowels in those words.
Yeah, imagine if Wu-Tang Clan just did all of Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh god, yeah, we gotta bring back like a hologram old dirty bastard to be in.
His son would do it. His son does some of old DB's verses when they do live.
Yeah, get like his son to be like one of Rosenstantz and what's the name Rosenstantz and
Guild.
Rosencrantz and
Guildenstern.
Yeah, it's like
sounds like a lawyer
ODB
firm.
and like Master Killer are those.
Yeah.
Capadonna plays Ophelia.
Okay, we got this. We got this.
I'm sorry. I love tangents. I can't help it. I'm so sorry.
It's totally welcome here.
Yeah.
I also love. I'm just circling back because there's like so many other little things. I love like the recurring like sound effects that come throughout the movie. Like whenever like you're like getting an introduction to a character who might pose some sort of threat, you hear like almost like it sounds like cicadas almost like coming out of the soundtrack. It's like just sort of like showing that something's about to go down. Or whenever like people do like the boom sound effect when there's like, you're the only one I have in my corner, don't let me down, and they shake the hands, it's like boom, like showing that like something is about something. It's just like the constant. There's like such a grand approach to everything in this that I love. Like
I think what the something that's really interesting about the audio is that it sounds made to be sampled. Like it seems like designed with sampling in mind, which is so cool. Because like obviously Hype has a very close connection to music. And I think honestly it would be very inspiring and liberating for him to see his like audio be utilized for like rap songs and R&B songs. And I feel like I'm not sure how conscious it was, but it feels conscious to me that the audio is so like immersive and like designed to be interpreted and broken down in interesting ways. It just feels like organic to film sound design. It's great sound design. That's why one of the main reasons I want to see it in the cinema, because I feel like you'd really get a sense of that kind of grandiose soundscape. Like who was it that said that the film like truly feels lived in, like the world? Was it Charlie?
It feels so organic and so epic in scope and so stylized all at once. It's funny how like you describe it sounds like you're describing different things when you use all of those words, which are kind of hyperbolic, so I apologize, but like it really does feel like a singular vision that like you can't really like I can't really think of another movie that looks and feels quite like this one, and it's very idiosyncratic.
Oh yeah, no, this is
true.
If someone doesn't know what Artisan is, you like show a few Hype Williams videos, then you show this movie, and they'll understand the concept.
I mean, the DP on this, Malik Hassan Saeed, he also shot Clockers, the Spike Lee
Great movie.
It doesn't look like he shot that. It doesn't look like he shot that many movies. And I'm like, how is this guy not shooting every single movie? I want him to shoot everything.
But I was actually thinking about Clockers in the way that like New York looks at like in like the evening is what I was thinking of, and like the outside of New York in the evening.
And the texture of
like,
light, too,
the way
in
that the
movie is
basketball
incredible.
courts look in Clockers look so crazy compared to any other, like even like all the bunch of Spike Lee like the difference between the way that like He Got Games basketball courts are shot in Clockers is crazy.
and those are only a couple years apart. By
Same
the same director.
DP. Same DP, I think.
And with the way he shoots a basketball court in this movie, where I think it's like one of the most relaxed moments of the movie when they're just playing basketball, and it's just it's beautiful, but it's static, and it's just kind of showing the distance between them on that court.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he really shoot He Got Game and
Yep.
Belly in the same year?
I guess so.
He shot Girl 6, He Got Game, and Clockers for Spike Lee, and he was the second unit director of photography on Eyes Wide Shut and Gattaca.
Incredible! What a
Yeah.
career!
Yeah.
Honestly, that's incredible.
He was nominated for an Indie Spirit Award for Best Cinematography
yeah.
for Belly. So
Oh yeah, so He Got Game. He did co-DP work with Ellen Kuras, who shot Eternal Sunshine.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Oh.
probably explains why there's a distinction in like that aspect of the visuals, because I don't think He Got Game looks like Clockers really, but I do think Clockers looks like Girl 6. It's interesting. I like Girl 6 a lot. I think that's a really underrated Spike.
I need to see that one.
Does
that's a big
that
Spike Lee
fit
blind
into
spot.
anything that could be covered in Almost Major?
it's Miramax, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Let's table that for now.
It's gonna happen, and it's gonna be fantastic.
You
but
should
there's
do
gonna be-
Miramax. There's
yeah.
tons of great Miramax stuff.
Oh, of course.
It's actually 20th Century Fox. I just looked it up now.
Really?
Yeah, it's that's his distributor production companies. Yeah, it's Fox Searchlight and
Oh, okay.
You're-
I thought it was Miramax.
It's called. It's
Okay.
actually 20th Century Studios. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
no,
Oh yes,
you're
of course,
wrong.
of course.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Every time I see that logo, I'm just like, "You're wrong. Put it back.
Yeah.
What are you doing?"
All right.
It's too short. Sincere prepares to leave the drug trade and move his family to Africa. And this is where his girlfriend goes, I don't know. Africa is far. And that's true. Planning to leave on New Year's Day 2000. Meanwhile, while laying low in Atlanta, Tommy investigates an argument between Wise and LaKid, two marijuana dealers, which ends with both men to drawing their gun and LaKid shooting Wise. Bryden, were you going to say something?
Yeah, no, I wasn't sure if we were gonna miss that part, but yeah, that's that's like kind of the turning point where I guess like DMX's character has been involved in all kinds of like petty beefs, like escalating to like violent outcomes and everything, and it's like almost like seeing it from an seeing it from an outsider perspective, like where he's not involved in the beef, but he's also instigating it. He sort of starts.
Yeah.
That's like the turning point for him where he's realizing maybe this isn't all worth it and everything. Where like just petty things escalate to awful outcomes and everything. But I also love the detail that like he's like left. He's just like he's so struck by the incident that like he stays in the restaurant for the cops to come when he's just smoking and drinking and everything. But he's got like the cigarette even when he's being arrested. And the cops is like, put that cigarette out. And everything. I just thought that was a funny detail to end the scene on. And the prison looks so shitty when he's like taken there, like the pale blue cell walls and like just like flickering lights. It looks so grimy with like and like the water, like the slicked like textures of like the floor. It's like it looks wet and you're just like, oh, I don't want to know what's on the floor and everything. But it's just like, yeah, so great.
Yeah. Well, something about Belly that I think is really interesting is it feels longer than it is, but not in a bad way. Like it feels like truly epic to me, even though it's like 95 minutes.
A lot happens, yeah.
Like honestly, like maybe I don't know if this is the case, but maybe the reception would have been a bit better if it was 125.
I don't know about that.
No, but just because like I think that like I don't want it to be like that. I think it's great the way it is, but I think maybe people would have, instead of feeling convoluted, it might have had more room to breathe, and people would have maybe reckoned with the themes that it's going for. I think that in some ways, I think a lot of people just kind of mashed it all together because it is very quickly paced, and people that came in with a certain impression just kept that impression because the movie rushes through a lot of stuff in the middle. And I think they probably just kind of kept that perception on there.
Yeah.
True.
And I don't think it should be changed. I don't think the hype should have had to change the movie because of those people. I think the movie's perfect the way it is. But I think that's just interesting to think maybe it would have been more received if it was like 2 hours plus and it had the more time to reckon with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really refreshing how it's paced, though. I like how relentless it is. I don't mind that it's convoluted because I find it very, like, always engaging from moment to moment. I don't think it's a bad thing that it's not always that concise because you get, even when, like, I sometimes lose exactly what's going on with all, like, with the Jamaican stuff. I sometimes lose, I kind of don't really have a firm grip on it. It's so compelling from moment to moment that I don't really mind. It's kind of like it took me, like, I still don't really know what happens in, like, The Big Sleep. It kind of reminds me of how, like, I love every scene in The Big Sleep, and I don't know how they link to each other, you know?
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. So I love doing my little weird comparisons. It's the
Yeah.
one thing I'm good at. I'm
It-
like
it
David
also-
Ehrlich.
It also does kind of put you in that character's mindset, though. I mean, these characters are constantly having to like react to shit as a result of something they did before, and I mean, there are moments that I don't think we covered coming up where I'm just like, oh right, that person. Like, of course they would hold on to a grudge like this and come after them when they least expect it, and you know, none of these characters can stop moving. I mean, and so the movie puts you in that headspace, I think, really effectively.
Absolutely, yeah. Where was I at? After being arrested over the shooting, Tommy is coerced by a shadowy organization with unclear motives into assassinating a black Muslim leader during a sermon on New Year's Eve. Tion comes home and finds herself confronted by Shamik, who demands the whereabouts of Sincere and Tommy. While Sincere talks to our friend outside, played by AZ, outside of a barber shop, Black shoots him in the leg as revenge for his early humiliation. Sincere kills Black and his accomplice in self-defense before fleeing the scene. On New Year's Eve, Tommy confronts Reverend Xavier before his scheduled speech and points his gun at him. Xavier convinces Tommy not to go through with his mission, even though this will put his life at risk. A tearful Tommy agrees, and the two men embrace. Shamik visits Keisha's home in hopes of finding Tommy there. He assaults Keisha, who gets a hold of Shamik's gun and shoots him in the face. Sincere, now in Africa with his family, reflects on recent memories and is happy to start a new life. And the end.
Yeah, the way that they write it, it's hard to
Condense it.
condense
Yeah.
it. That's Jesus.
Yeah.
I can use my words.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Sorry,
that's
yeah.
all kind of happens via a rapid montage, a very effective,
Right,
beautifully
right.
edited montage. But yeah, it is kind of weird to me that like they put at the very end like, yeah, that Keisha's assaulted and shoots the guy in the face, because like I feel like the whole thing up until that point is it's building up on what we saw before, and then I think, and I'm certainly not the first person to like draw this comparison, but it did make me think of Catherine Bigelow's Strange Days, which is another movie that took
Oh,
place
yes,
before
yes.
1999.
It looks kind of similar in some ways with the way it uses blue.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
also the fact that it ends on New Year's Day 1999 and before 1999, and like both movies that feature horrific violence and
Mhm.
potentially seems like they're films that could end on a note of just utter despair for what the new millennium has to offer, and they're both oddly hopeful, and
Yeah.
almost neither
Yeah.
of them should work, but they do.
Yeah, I think Belly ends better than Strange Days, though. I don't think the I think the one like I think the ending of Strange Days is the only thing that I don't think is flawless about that movie.
The stuff with the cops is my
I
only
think a
real
bit.
It's
gripe with
naive.
It doesn't
It's-
fit. That's the problem. I don't mind
It-
it being naive. I mind that it doesn't fit. It doesn't feel natural to happen in it.
I
Like,
do love the stuff with Ray Fiennes and Angela Bassett, though.
yeah, no,
That-
yeah, no.
that
I
love
love the
story,
movie, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
it's one of my favorite movies. It just has, I think it just needed that final tweak. I think I think it's because I think Bigelow is a very conservative filmmaker, and I think it becomes very apparent throughout her recent works like Detroit and
Uh-huh.
Zero Dark to an extent, and Hurt Locker. Like, I think those all do have a lot of like conservative tendencies running through their bones, and I think that Strange Days doesn't have that except at the bit at the end. And I think that
Mhm.
her,
Yeah.
I think like because like Blue Steel is nuanced, but I think you can read it as a more conservative way, especially
Oh yeah.
from hindsight.
Mhm.
Like, I think it's like Point Break to an extent, although that movie doesn't really care about politics at all because it's all about vibes.
Mhm.
But like
Mhm.
like the ending of Strange Days just doesn't fit for me because it doesn't feel it feels fitting with Bigelow's career before and after, but it doesn't feel fitting with the context of the movie, especially with how the cops are
Mhm.
treated throughout the film. But it's her best movie. It's one of my favorite films ever. So it doesn't
Yeah,
ruin the
I love
movie.
that movie.
But the
Great
thing with
movie,
Belle,
yeah.
the thing with Belle is like what I meant earlier by like between like death and like escape. Obviously, like DMX doesn't choose death. Like he's alive by the end
Yeah.
of it. He's fine. But what I mean more is that like he has to like reconcile with the possibility of either losing his own life or taking another. I feel like I wasn't very clear
Mhm.
with that. I wanted to like bring it up now that we got to the end. Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like he is choosing the fact that he might die because of this, but he doesn't want to sacrifice his humanity. And I think like DMX like selling that scene is so powerful to me. I think he's so remarkable, because that's the thing about DMX is that like he has like a very big reputation for kind of like being like a shock rapper, and like for a very good reason. Like some of the things he said on music and the things he did in his private life, and like there was a lot of darkness around that man, but he was very emotional too. His music is very emotional and very sad. Like the song I mentioned earlier, "Ready to Meet Him," is him essentially like begging God for any guidance and answers, and struggling with like having this faith and not feeling like it's being repaid. And it's devastating. It's heartbreaking, and it's like
Mhm.
he is a very emotional performer, and it makes sense that he's so good at capturing like kind of like naivete and innocence almost. Like there's a sense of like childlikeness that comes out in that scene to me, where it looks like he's like a little boy almost. And I think it's so powerful. Again, it is unfair because it does continuously make Nas look weaker, because he's not doing anything that DMX is doing. But I do think Nas is perfect casting. I think he's great. I know like Jay-Z was supposed to be in that role at some point, I think, and that would have been wrong to me.
Right.
That would have been wrong. Jay-Z's too confident,
Yeah.
and it doesn't fit. Also, you can't.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
also, I know it was like
yeah,
you can't
agreed.
going from Jay-Z then going to Nas. Like you have to pick one or the other at that point. Like, come on, you can't
Mhm.
switch back and forth between those two. Come on.
Yeah, I also just love the way that scene is. I mean, it uses blue through the whole movie uses blue at the beginning, and then to contrast with the use of red at the very end of that film, where everything, I mean, it's and showing like, yeah, the transformation that DMX has made, and could potentially make, that could destroy his own life. I think is just very yeah, it's, as I've said before,
Yeah.
it's a sensory, it's almost sensory overload, just how beautiful this movie looks. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean like the red of like the warm sort of reds of like the place where he's like confronting the minister at the end is kind of, I mean, we're talking about like at the start of the movie how like Nas's character is more into like the minister's teachings and everything. It's almost like DMX is coming over to Nas's side and everything, and also taking the more
Mhm.
accepting path. Yeah, it's so moving.
I think this is I feel like Hype Williams was like listening to a lot of the speeches of Louis Farrakhan. Like
He was
that.
supposed to be in it too.
Yeah, that's nuts. Holy shit. Which makes me think that Jay Electronica has seen this movie and loves it.
Oh, of course. Of
And
course.
also, I mean, the parallels to Malcolm X. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's very apparent that
I just I know no one thinks about this album anymore, but one of my favorite albums of the last like few years is the J
It's a good
Electronica
album.
album, Written Testimony, and like half of that album is him talking about being a
Uh-huh.
black Muslim and talking about Louis Farrakhan, and it makes me laugh really
Mhm.
hard. Because he just Written Testimony is maybe the oldest any rapper has ever sounded on an
It's
album.
up there.
Like he's not that old, but he sounds
Mhm.
it, and there's this kind of like wisdom mixed with just pure delirium, and like I just think I would love to talk to Jay Electronica about this movie and ask his opinion on how it portrays this kind of black Muslim
Uh-huh.
existence. I think it's just be really interesting to, because he's definitely seen
Oh,
it.
of course.
There's no way he hasn't. Um, I think they're like it is one of those movies that's like there's so much to it. Like it would have been very easy for Hype to just do like like a kind of standard like gangster movie.
Mhm.
But there's so much more in mind. Like I think the closest like to any gangster movie reminds me of is King of New York, Abel
yeah,
Ferrara.
Oh
that's a good one.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
because like when like the scenes like the way it uses blue and like like the club shooting in King of New York is one of my favorite like shootouts ever, and like the way like the water and the death is used. I won't say who dies in the water in case someone hasn't seen King of New York. I'm looking at Bryden. I don't know if Bryden has seen.
I saw it a
King of New
long
York.
time ago. Yes.
Okay, all right. Sorry for judging. I assumed you may have not seen it.
Some
but like
of our
the
listeners might not have. It's a
okay,
great
yeah,
movie.
go watch King of New York. I won't spoil it, but like the person who dies and the way that they react to it feels like something you'd see in ballet. Feels like something that you'd be inspired, like he'd been inspired to kind of approach death in the way that Abel does in King of New York. It's just like King of New York is also a movie that's way more than just like a standard gangster New York tale.
Oh yeah.
And so I feel like that is what those are some of the tools that, because like obviously hype is a very big, like he sources from his influences very prominently. Like he is like he's very cultured artist. You can tell he's seen a lot, that he knows a lot. I feel like he would be a great guy to sit and talk movies with. Like out of all out of like so like one of the filmmakers that first comes to mind is like a guy that I bet would be wonderful to talk movies with. Like I bet he has such interesting perceptions and interesting influences that like we as audiences probably don't even realize the extent of until he points them out.
Really quickly, I want to talk about the Keisha character because I feel like there's like maybe some. I'm curious about what everyone thinks about the treatment of her character because she's often just kind of existing in relation to DMX's character, and like often like lounging around in like scantily clad clothing or little clothing. And there is like the scene where she talks with Nas's girlfriend about it, and like she's told like not to exist like solely in relation to like her boyfriend and everything. And it's interesting that when Keisha gets bailed out of jail, the person who like comes out to get her is Tion, the Nas's girlfriend and everything. And it's like she's put in like this destructive situation because of DMX and everything. But then like she's like she doesn't have much support about it. But then I guess she regains some agency in the end when she takes charge against Method Man at the end. I don't know. Do we think that's like a sort of like an affirming image, or like do we think it's maybe like? I think that the movie decently earns it because like there's like a lot going on.
I think that it could be much worse than it is. Her character.
Right.
I think that the scenes with her and DMX are great, especially that one that I mentioned, like the argument early on. I think is really well done. I think that the ending really justifies a lot of her arc. I think that it is natural for these kind of like hyper masculine men to kind of sideline their women, and I think it's more honest. I think that probably there could have been more interior to her life developed throughout the movie. I feel, but for like a 20-year-old man in 1998, I think he did pretty good. It's obviously not my place to say, really, but like compared to like the way, and I love this movie, but compared to the way that women are treated in Higher Learning, I think there's a clear distinction between like. And I love Singleton, and I think Singleton's written a bunch of great female characters in Baby Boy and Poetic Justice in particular. But in Higher Learning, I think he kind of missed the mark on some of those characters. And I don't really feel like Belly has the same issue. Again, I think it's one of those things where I feel like Keisha would have got a lot more screen time if the movie was a bit longer. I feel like she's one of the people that would have mainly benefited from an expanded runtime. I think it's a great performance. I think it's a really... I think she looks gorgeous. Like very stunning look. Like Hyde knows how to shoot her. Like everyone does look great.
Oh yeah, everyone looks amazing.
This is like it shows like how important it is to have a cinematographer that knows how to shoot darker skinned black people. Because like it's so easy to get that wrong for white DPs. But this movie is just so I think that everyone should see it. I really do. Like it's not that long, so like even if people don't like it, it's not like they've wasted like 3 hours on it.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Almost Major. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Please follow the pod on Twitter at Almost Major to keep up to date with what movies we will be covering in the future. Myself, I can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at KevBonesy. Bryden can be found on Twitter at Bryden Doyle and on Letterboxd at JDoyle. Charlie can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at CTNash91. Once again, thank you for listening.